Next up, we have Mr. Abhishek Sharma, sir, who will be joining us. Sir is a Google developer expert, Google Cloud, senior cloud engineer at Sears Incorporation, cloud native and multi-cloud advisor, organizer at GDG Cloud Mumbai and Elastic UG, founder at Guys in the Cloud, also a tech speaker, a content creator, and a cloud potato. These are just some of Sir's accolades. Sir has also a proven track record of driving digital transformation, and he specializes in architecting and implementing scalable cloud solutions on Google Cloud, leveraging his expertise in DevOps, observability, and cloud security tools such as Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, Argo CD, Prometheus, Mimir, Tempo, Grafana, Chekhov, Prisma Cloud, and GitLab CI. Sir also optimizes development pipelines, strengthens SRE and platform engineering practices, and ensures robust security standards to empower organizations to achieve all of their goals. His innovative solutions and thoughtful leadership have earned him recognition as a true leader and a true expert in the cloud community. So, without further ado, let's have Mr. Abhishek Sharma, sir, with us. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge, huge round of applause for sir.
It's fine. Hello. Okay. So hi everyone. I think pretty much good introduction. Slide please. Okay. Before they while they are setting up slides, how many of you already saw me somewhere? There are a few faces. Thank you everyone. Okay. So today we are going to discuss about something which is trending nowadays. Like everyone, how many of you are interested in DevOps? A lot of folks. But nowadays, industry is not talking about DevOps. There is one more layer which is now there called, I think, okay, that is not available in the presentation slide or in this particular title. So that is something which we are going to discuss about, and how those who are those who are interested in DevOps domain, how they can learn that particular part, and how a real-time system can be built on top of those tools, technologies, and stack. That is something which we are gonna see today. So I think, okay, this is pretty much about myself. This is a Abhishek Sharma, Google developer expert for Google Cloud, and so on and so forth. So let's start with our actual topic. What is the paradigm? So the persona is, there is a developer who builds some kind of application for what? For the end users. And there are a lot of things they have to do while doing this particular part, where they have to select the infrastructure as a service, they have to select the monitoring, logging, security, and a lot of things. So what happens normally is, like whenever they do this kind of stuff, in the legacy system, there are some kind of developers who build different kind of applications. They give this particular application to somebody what? To the operation team. Normally this happens, and then they create some kind of infrastructure in which application is gone and it will be served to the end user. But what happens normally is, there is a barrier, there is a silo between two different teams. How many of you are working professional? Okay, cool. So you face this kind of issues, that whenever there is an infrastructure requirement, you have to raise a ticket, and then after they will provide you some kind of infrastructure for you, and then they go ahead. To solve this particular problem, there is a new concept comes into the picture around 5 or 6 years ago. What is that? I think now it's clear, DevOps, right? Which you guys wanna become. So what happens is, like DevOps guys comes into the picture and they just set up the pipeline and tell developer that, hey, this is the repository, just go and push your code. It will automatically build the artifact and deploy in your respective environment. What do you think? This is good? All set? Or if there is some kind of problem. So this kind of setup is very good if you are dealing with a small organization, or if you are having a small scale business. But what do you think if your application is going to serve, or you are building some application, hundreds, tens of application every day, then what do you think, this kind of scale will work? How many of you agree with that? That DevOps can able to deal with hundreds of application rolling out each day? No one? Any concern are there? Because if you set up the same pipeline, because normally what happens whenever we deal with any kind of enterprises, they have different kind of environment for each application. Dev, staging, production is there. And each environment has their own specification. Maybe small configuration will be there in dev. Maybe high configuration will be there in the production environment. So to deal with this kind of scenario, this kind of setup, we have to configure heterogeneous environment for a dynamic set of folks. So to solve this particular problem, normally this particular thing happens. Like developer is there who just asks CloudOps team that, hey, I want some kind of infrastructure. Can you just give it to me? And then after what happens, it communicates with the DevOps team that set up the pipeline so that you can do the CI/CD stuff. And then security folks comes into the picture that once they will approve the environment, then and then you can go to the live section. And also there are some section in which you have to deal with the observability part, and it is very critical. You have to make sure that your system is running up and running all the time with the finer tune thing. So to solve all of these problems, first we'll check that what are the problems normally have currently. So you guys are working professional. What do you think? What kind of issues you are facing nowadays? Anybody? First thing is like this one, slow developer onboarding. So whenever somebody joins your team, it takes some time to give the KT so that they can start actual work. Second thing is like siloed between the tools and toolings. Like if you are using tens of tools, there are a lot of tractions are there in which you have to empower your new employee. And then whenever you deal with two different teams, bhai ye mera kaam nahi hai, main nahi karunga. Yeah, sometimes you saw that people are like, hey, I don't want to do this because I have some other priorities from my team. So these kind of thing normally happens everywhere in every organization. The next thing is like high cognitive load on developers. Like whenever there is something happen in the infrastructure, in the application, always किसको point करते हैं? हमेशा developer की गलती होती है, right? So it's the common thing that developer are facing a lot of problems, a lot of issue in terms of end-to-end life cycle of the application. And the last one is if we talk about security, then those who are facing, they can understand the pain of it, right? So these kind of issues are nowadays happening with every enterprise, every organization who are dealing with this kind of scale. So to solve this particular problem, a new concept, the extension of DevOps comes into the picture called what? Platform engineering. सुना है कभी? कितने लोगों ने सुना है? Okay, there are plenty of folks. Good. So what it does actually? कोई बोलना चाहता है? I think we already have mics, so we can give them. Anybody wants to tell something about platform engineering? Anyone? Yes, please.
Yeah, it does the setup of platform in an automatic way. Like a developer can just ask to send a request, and at the back end, we just create everything for them.
Perfect. Pretty much close. Anybody else? Yes, please. So let's make this a bit interactive.
Hey, Abhishek.
Yes.
Nice to see you again, man.
Okay, no problem. Let's move ahead, and in the next question, maybe again. So basically, the way he said, right? What platform engineers does is they automate the process of entire setting up the actual environment. So normally, what happens? Suppose you have two teams. I don't know where to point, but yeah. Hello. I think so. Okay. So for an example, your organization has two different BUs, two different applications. One is in the left hand side, one is in the right hand side. So what happens, platform engineer, what it does is they do this particular thing. They help accelerating development with self-service workflows. So you don't have to communicate with anybody else, you just go and do something so that the entire setup will be there by default for you. And also it does the reduce the complexity around applications deployment or your infrastructure setup. Also it provides is something like this. It integrates the security, it also integrates the observability part. Is it amazing? So whatever was there in terms of security, in terms of observability, in terms of DevOps pipeline setup, all things are now templatized. Now all the things are automated. So what normally happens is in the platform engineering era, there are three kinds of concepts which comes into the picture. One is IDP. कभी सुना है? Internal Developer Portal. Nowadays, every organization wanted to develop this kind of setup so that they have an automated workflow in their organization. So internal developer portal is nothing but a self-service portal in which your engineers can just go, fill the form, and they will get the desired infrastructure created by default for them. There is an orchestrator which you have to build so that this infrastructure creation is not happening in the air, right? There are some kind of processes which is running behind the scene, they will handle this particular part. So you have to develop this orchestrator, and then there will be extension of your DevOps engineer role called platform engineer comes into the picture. They will create the templates for different environment. Like for an example, if I want to create an infrastructure in which there is a Kubernetes cluster, some database, some kind of GCS bucket or S3 bucket or something like that. So what you will do, you will just create a Terraform template for the entire workflow so that one person come, they just fill the form in which you just ask the required parameter, and that template take the parameter and create the entire infrastructure for you. So that is something is going to be the next job role for the DevOps engineer. So those who are thinking for become a DevOps engineer, think of become what? Platform engineer, okay? So what is the now what is the upgraded workflow? One is, as a developer, you just come to the place, you just fill the form, and then after there is an orchestrator which does all the works, setting up the security, observability, infrastructure, and you can able to deliver the secure cloud workload with a very ease. So that is something is now the workflow people are using in the industry. So now the updated workflow is for the developers. What is the? Just filling the form and they will get the all the things. Now the next big question, like why we are discussing about it and why I am saying you just focus on platform engineering, not in the DevOps domain now. Because as per the Gartner report, if you see 80% of the organizations by 2026 shift to this platform engineering world, not in the DevOps domain. Because nowadays, if you just go and ask to anybody about, hey, this is what the pipeline I wanted to set up, how I can do that, everything is available there. But now people are more focused on reusable things. So if you want to make your career in this particular domain, just think about this particular thing. So now the big question is this one, right? How we did that, and तुम्ही ते कसे केला? I know मतलब मैंने search करके निकाला, but I think you guys can relate on this. So this is the overall architecture which we introduced to implement this entire workflow. Seems critical, complex, या easy लग रहा है? Any input? So basically what we have done is we develop one internal developer portal which is backed by some kind of orchestrator, which is backed by different kind of tools and technologies which are combining together to serve as a one source. So that as a developer, you just go to the portal and just fill some information and all the resources will be there by default, including security, including observability, including all the pipelines. So as a developer, you don't have to worry about anything. All things are already set it up. You just go and boom. So now this particular setup is supported multi-cloud, because nowadays people don't rely on one cloud. They want multi-cloud support. So here with the help of Google, we have something called Anthos. कितने लोगों ने सुना है? There are very few people. So Anthos is a platform using which you can able to set up this multi-cloud environment within Google Cloud, so that from Google itself you can able to deploy anything in AWS, Azure, on-prem, anywhere. So that kind of capability this Anthos provides. So if you are setting this kind of IDP, this kind of automated process, you should have some process which can able to deploy anywhere. It should not dependent on that, hey, I just wanted to deploy in Google, then this portal will work, otherwise no. So that is a critical part you have to think. So in that particular part, this kind of architecture, we utilize this Anthos piece from Google, which helps us extend our limitation to multi-cloud thing. Now, at the end, after deploying this entire infrastructure, entire workflow, you will get a standardized infrastructure for your AI data app workload across Google, AWS, and Azure for now. Maybe in future we'll extend it to on-prem. So what happens is normally, you have your organizational policy and standard templates. Like every organization have some kind of set of policies which they wanted to enforce. And then the next thing which normally people has is standard template. As a platform engineer, you will build. And then this entire thing will provide you standardized SCM tools. Maybe you can integrate GitLab or GitHub or Bitbucket or anything else. Also, you will get some CI/CD tool functionalities in which you are integrating Jenkins, Argo CD. Are you guys aware of these tools, right? Those who raise your hand, DevOps persons, I think so. The next thing is you will also have to think about the observability. Sometimes every organization doesn't rely on a specific observability tool. They use open source, they use closed source like ServiceNow, AppDynamics is there. There are a lot of tools available. Also for the security part, it's very critical part that whenever you are building an automated workflow, most of the time enterprises struggle with the security because there is no one who are checking the part where what is going to the production, and then a big disaster comes into the picture. To solve all of those problems, security integration is also something which is very critical. And then if you are dealing with different kind of team, nowadays what's going on? क्या चल रहा है फॉग के अलावा बताओ AI, right? हर दूसरा पोस्ट AI है. So whenever you are dealing with AI capabilities, it is not just about DevOps. It is not just about platform engineering. Now, as an engineer, you have to align with the current trend, and that is what? AI. So whenever you are dealing with AI thing, two critical parts are there. One is data, where you are processing a lot of data, and the next thing is what kind of AI capabilities you are providing as part of your full end-to-end automation to the developers so that they can faster build application and have quick go-to-market kind of scenario, right? So all of those sections are included in this particular entire setup, and this is how we can build this particular thing. So now, apart from this, like now we have our entire setup ready. To orchestrate this particular thing, nowadays we are used to with the chatbot. MCP सबने try किया, right? ADK सबने सुना है, right? What is the real use case? Have you ever tried any ADK use case in real time? Have you implemented in your own website or anywhere else? Because everyone is experimenting. They are not putting it into production. Why? Seems interesting. इससे पहले हमने AlloyDB भी देखा. How many of you are using AlloyDB in your production? Or have you tried vector database or something like that? So that kind of thing, like if you are learning something and realizing the power of that particular tech, until and unless you are making it for the end user, it has zero value. Right? तुम्हारे पास एक शानदार प्रोडक्ट है बट कोई अगर यूज नहीं कर रहा है, it has zero value. Always remember that part. Okay. So to solve that particular problem, we integrated this particular part as a AI chatbot in which you can just go and do all the functionalities which I provided. You can get some insight that, hey, I have deployed this particular infrastructure. What is the cost of it? how many cost I am recurring for this particular infrastructure, is there any health related issues in a specific area, you can just highlight. All of those kind of things are integrated in this particular AI chatbot, which is powered by what? Gemini and ADK. So this is the real world use case. If you are also working in any of the product, these kind of tools can be used in these kind of scenario where you can integrate it with your MCP tools, your different APIs, different things, so that you will have a centralized place from where you can able to control the entire system. Now the next thing is like, nowadays everyone is building AI related stuffs, right? So normally as a AI engineer, what you do? Maybe you work on what? Notebook to build your own LLM, your own application. Maybe you will do some RAG so that you can just create a vector database and put your embedding data and just fetch it whenever there is a requirement using vector search, okay? The next thing you will do is training part. So for that you need to do the processing of the data, do the eval and different things. And then at the end there should be a requirement of inference where you deploy your AI chatbot or AI application so that it can able to serve to the end user. So these are the commonly 4 use cases in which people used to implement any of the case study. So to implement this entire setup, we have used, what is this? Anybody? Guys, you are not aware of this logo? No, it's very surprising, yeah. So cool. So whenever you go to Google Cloud, okay, and want to explore any of the AI capabilities, this entire system comes into one ecosystem, under one ecosystem called Vertex AI. सुना है? हाँ, कलर चेंज है यार बस, पहले ब्लू होता था, अब थोड़ा उन्होंने गूगल के 4 कलर डाल दिए. It's the same. So this is Vertex AI, and Vertex AI has all the capabilities to build, deploy, host, and scale your AI applications. So this, whatever 4 things I had discussed, this is something like you, as a developer, as a AI developer, you just go to the portal and fill the form, and this entire infrastructure backed by Vertex AI will be created by default for you. And as an engineer, you just go and code your stuff, and it is ready to go to the market. Now, the next big question is, why we have used Google Cloud as a foundation for this entire setup? I shown you a big architecture diagram. So it's very important and it's very critical if you are in an organization that, like for an example, whenever you are making any decision, it impacts your entire business. Suppose तुम्हारी खुद की कंपनी है, 100 लोग तुम्हारे अंडर काम करते हैं, तुम्हारा एक डिसीजन आगे 100 लोगों को इम्पैक्ट करने वाला है, बिकॉज दे आर वर्किंग ऑन योर ओन करेंशन, ठीक है? सो जब भी हम किसी आर्किटेक्चर के लिए डील करते हैं या सोचते हैं कि इस आर्किटेक्चर को कहाँ डालना चाहिए, इट्स अ वेरी क्रिटिकल स्टेप. Nowadays every organization is pushing themselves in AI. Why? Because current is the trend, and whenever they go to any venture or any maybe investor, they will say that in my application there is AI stuff. They will get a funding. Otherwise, people are avoiding to give funding. So that is the necessity. This is the requirement that they have to put AI stuff in their stack, right? In the same manner, whenever you think of deploying anything, it's not how wali cheez. You have to think that if I am putting this particular stuff in somewhere, there is a pros and cons. To solve this particular problem, if you see Google, it has cutting edge infrastructure with best security and observability. In every service in Google Cloud, there is a security and observability available by default. So you don't have to worry about, hey, how I can monitor my stuff. Hey, how I can able to set up the security so that I can easily clear the compliance. How many of you aware that if you want to like make something in production, you have to go through a proper security process? कभी कभी पता चलता है कि कुछ कंपनीज अचानक से बंद हो जाती है. टिकटॉक बैन क्यों हुआ? क्यों बैन हुआ था? अरे बता दो यार. Because China was getting our data. That is one thing. सबने PUBG खेला है? How many of you played that? पबजी वाला, अभी तो BGMI आ गया है ना? So PUBG के टाइम पे भी why they banned? So all of these things are happening because of compliance, right? Where your data is stored. So all of these things are comes under the security, that where you are storing the data, how you are processing the data, and whatever data you are storing, how critical it is. अभी तुम गूगल के अंदर जाके कोई भी डेटा स्टोर करते हो, यू रिलाय कि गूगल से भी कोई बंदा है वो डेटा नहीं देख पाएगा, इसके लिए डेटा स्टोर कर रहे हो, राइट? कुछ भी डालते हो. So that is something comes under the security, and that kind of capability is already available in Google Cloud. That is the first thing which we considered while choosing this infrastructure to set up in Google Cloud. The second thing is it's deeply integrated AI ML ecosystem with pioneering AI services and model. Nowadays everyone is using what? Gemini models in their applications infrastructure. So if I am building any application, it is closely coupled with what? Gemini model, its ecosystem, and whatever AI capabilities I have shown you, all of those are offering of some of the Google service called Vertex AI, right? So that is something, that kind of capability, and the way Google is investing a lot of money in the AI stuff, I don't see that kind of push from other competitors. So that is also a very big step while choosing any of the cloud platform, that hey, in future, if I want to scale my application to the current trend, how reliable this particular platform is, so that I can also scale my application to that particular trend. This is the second consideration we taken. And the multi-cloud extensibility is something which is amazing. In Google Cloud, just explore Anthos once, and then you will see this kind of capability. And if you want to see this in live in action, I already have one blog related to setting up multi-cloud between AWS and Google Cloud. So you can explore that particular part as well. And the third thing is advanced core services extension, like reusable extensibly networking part. So sometimes what happens, those who are network folks, if you want to set up the network, there should be side range difference should be there. There is no overlap. This is the requirement normally we have, right? While setting up multi-cloud especially, or doing the migration part. So Google has something called reusable IPs. So you can use the reusable IPs in different cloud platform. That kind of capability it has. It has Cloud DNS closely integrated with Google Kubernetes engine, so that whenever you deploy any service in Google Cloud, Kubernetes engine, it will by default come up with your domain. So you don't have to set up the load balancer externally. You can directly access your service directly by deploying it in Kubernetes. So there are a lot of functionalities available which you can explore, and because of these kind of capabilities, we choose in Google Cloud as our foundation to build this entire stack. All good? All set? Okay. So now the final question is, ज्ञान हो गया, right? The most important part is ROI. किसी को फुल फॉर्म पता है? That is the thing यार, मतलब अगर मैं 10 रुपए लगा रहा हूँ, मुझे अगर 20 नहीं मिल रहा है, doesn't make sense, right? तुम बिजनेस चला रहे हो, कोई क्या बोलते हैं उसको, ट्रस्ट नहीं है ना? So this is something the ROI is, over the 3 years, you will get 3x faster project releases, 60% reduction in tickets, 80% reduction in security incidents, 100% compliance, because without all the pipelines are certified automated, and it is integrated with your latest pipelines, latest policies, so that always you have to, whenever you run the pipeline, your developer always interact to the latest policies defined by your security team. Whenever there is some kind of observability changes, it is by default coming up in the pipeline itself, so that your observability team doesn't have to involve into your conversations where you just go and ask them that, hey, how to set up this particular thing. So all of those ticket reduction, faster project release, and the security incident and compliance, all of those things ultimately translate it to approximate 5x ROI on your investment after putting this entire IDP in your enterprise. So this is the overall metric which I wanted to share. And now it's time for question. We already have 3 minutes. If somebody wants to ask something, I am happy to answer. Yes, please. Anybody? Okay. I think there is mic needed. Yes. Seems interesting. And make sure this is the trend.
Hey, the last slide that you showed, right? I mean, the ROI one.
Yes. Let me just go here.
So it says it's 5x ROI. I mean, even in the current time,
Mm-hmm.
especially combined with the remote config, right, where I can switch off the features and I can release a feature every single day,
Mm-hmm.
we still have that speed. With the platform engineering coming in, I mean, a normal software can still go every day.
Yeah.
Even after 3 years, it's a 5x ROI. Is it a sustainable ROI? Should it?
So it is a probability that you will get this kind of metric, because based on our past experience with dealing with the client, this is what we got, and this is the projection that after 3 years normally people get this kind of metric. This can be increased, this can be reduced a bit down. It all depends on the teams. So for an example, if you are dealing with the team, they are not releasing anything. They are just sitting behind the scene. Your security team is not updating the policies. Your observability team is not updating the proper aggregation of the things. Then it will be more like you just build the entire stack and you are sitting. So all of those things should be there always, but ultimately if you set up this entire thing, the dependency will go away and you can go ahead with this kind of metrics.
So this ROI combines the AI stuff which is plugged
Yes,
in, right?
everything.
So,
Yep.
so should there be like a little bit more expectation if AI is, because why I'm trying to say is if I'm investing 3 years more in the AI side, there is a lot of cost going there, right?
Yes.
So even after 3 years, it goes 5x ROI, it will break even. But so possibly I'll
It's,
be
it's,
almost
it's,
landed up zero
it's,
prof.
okay. To answer this, like it all depends on how you are utilizing AI stuffs or how extensively your application building process is going on in your organization. It's not like uh, we can say the standardized way. This is overall based on our different clients. We just set up the metric, and this is what we got, that they are getting this 5x ROI on the investment they have done for this entire setup. But using the AI, we can automate the processes, but still there are people needed just to validate few stuffs, because after or using this entire setup, whatever is going to the production, that are validated and with the full proof testing thing.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I think if no questions are there, I am on time. I am here whole day. So let's chit chat, and thank you everyone for listening. And if you want to connect with me, I think the last slide is not coming up. Okay, I think last slide is missing. You just copy and paste now. Okay, so now the visions who has like to become a DevOps engineer is changed, or still wanted to become DevOps engineer? Because it's been around 5 years, I am in this particular domain as a senior cloud engineer. But now the trend is changing. People are more towards this kind of concepts where how they are, how they are gonna templatize this entire workflow so that they have an automated end-to-end process. Nowadays, if you see, people are removing folks from their organization. Why this particular thing is happening? The work 10 people were doing previously in past 5 years, now that work can able to done by 2 folks, right? Because of this automation. So if you are focusing on these kind of automation, I think there will be full set of scopes for your career. Ah, okay. Cool. So I think done, right? Okay. Till then, they are setting up. Anything else? क्या बात है, मतलब इतनी सारी चीज़ें, इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स बताया मैंने, सब सब चंगा सी काफ़ी मतलब इजी था क्या? So when we were thinking of this particular solution, there was a lot of thought process were going on, that how to use this particular setup, how to make this cloud agnostic, how to make sure that different tools are supported. So whenever we try to build any kind of integration, like you are saying, like we are just going and, okay, I think, no, last one. There is a QR. No, I don't think. Okay. I think, by the way, no worries, guys. If you want to find me anywhere, this is the username, a cloud potato. Just search on Medium as well, where I have this setting up multi-cloud thing is there, where you can just explore. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. Yep.